Hey everyone, it is Tracy Kawa, and we are back again on A Brighter Future Starts Here, a live weekly show brought to you by the American Society for the Positive Care of Children. And today I am stoked over the moon to bring you Laura Coe. She's the CEO and founder of Snapology, and she's going to be discussing bystanders against bullying and how Snapology is doing its part. Welcome, Laura.
Hey, hi. Glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you here. So, I heard a little bit about your story already because you and I met on the Franchise Women podcast with Rebecca Monet. And you were so gracious in accepting the invitation to be here with me today for the American Society for the Positive Care of Children. So, just as a little backstory, I personally find it so inspirational because I was at one point, and actually pretty much still am, a single mom. And I have to say that your story moved me on so many levels because here you have the single mom, here you have the working while trying to keep the kids engaged, then you have, what to do with the kids, then well the kids aren't so athletically inclined, and the next thing you know, Snapology is born. So that alone, like so many layers to deconstruct, right? Tell us a little more in detail about your story.
Yeah, so there are a lot of layers to it. And I always kind of say all of my worlds sort of collided together to kind of create the perfect storm to create Snapology. I'm an actuary by trade, I'm a mathematician. I have two sons, and I'm an entrepreneur at heart. My parents were entrepreneurs, and so I kind of wanted to follow in their footsteps. And I'd owned a couple of franchises in the past as a franchisee, but when my boys were about 5 and 6 years old, I was I had sold a couple of businesses that I was running previously. I had sold them and I was looking for business opportunities. But first and foremost, I was a mom. And I was a single mom. And so I was really working hard, not only to find activities for my kids, just because I wanted activities for my kids so they could socialize and be normal kids, but also sometimes I had to find activities for my kids so that I could work or I could get things done. And so I had some extra motivation in that. And so my two sons, Sebastian and Garen, are very academic kids. So, bright kids, love to learn, into like the engineering toys. You hear about kids that are like taking apart toasters and putting them back together. Like these are my little boys, taking stuff apart and always building and doing things. And they weren't real competitive though. So when it came to finding activities for them, I found a little bit of a gap in the marketplace. And I think it happens to little girls too, but I think, in particular for little boys, when they don't play sports or they don't want to play sports and that's not what they're inclined to do, I think there are less options out in the marketplace for them. And so I really wanted to find something for them to do. And I just struggled. And so as I was looking for the business opportunity and as I was looking for activities for my sons, my worlds kind of collided. And I realized, you know what? The business opportunity is finding activities for kids like my boys. And so, kids, activities where kids could be social, it could be kind of a group or team environment. But my kids' wheelhouse, their thing was academics. They loved learning and they loved doing those things. And so my older son Sebastian was one of those crazy Lego kids. Like we had just had millions and millions of Legos, and that's all he wanted for his birthday, and that's all he wanted for the holidays. And so when I realized that all the power of Lego and then some of these engineering toys like Kinex in teaching kids and how sophisticated they are nowadays with motors and batteries and all these really cool things, it became clear to me that that's the business opportunity, is to find out how to use these building toys, these engineering toys that the kids are familiar with, but use them in unfamiliar ways to teach them. And so we created Snapology with exactly that idea, that it's super fun for the kids, but we can teach them social skills and we can get them working together in teams and create that sport for them. But it's an academic sport. It's an activity where for my kids that was their wheelhouse. And so that's how the idea came about. And we offered, it was really simple. I had a couple of friends that were teachers. And so I asked them to write a little bit of curriculum, and we wrote some robotics curriculum and some other fun things. And we offered it, and it took off. Like, I clearly wasn't the only parent who was looking for this. And Snapology was born. And that was 11 years ago now.
That's incredible. And I know you shared once before that you have parents that have come up to you throughout the years like, thank you so much for creating Snapology. I don't know what we would have done. I don't know what I would have done with my boys had it not been for this type of outlet. Correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, and that's, I think, for me, the best part of it, because I do realize, I mean, we truly are making a difference in the lives of these children, and I see it with my own son. He was a quiet, shy, wasn't, terribly social, which is why I wanted to get him in these activities. Now he's a freshman in college, and he's confident, and he's social, and the difference it made in him, and in talking to parents, just the complete difference in their children that it made, and giving them confidence, even the smallest of skills, of presentation skills, and getting up in front of talking to people, or asking somebody for help, or working with a peer. And for children with extra needs, like, it's sort of extra special for us, because I think we're able to touch them in a way, and really reach them in a way that parents have trouble with.
Right. Wow. Before we pivot into Bullying Prevention Month, I want to hover for a minute on a couple of things that you pointed out, which, starting with the fact that your son was very shy. So tell us a little bit about how Snapology can pull a child out of their shyness, because you touched on presentation skills. Walk me through the process. A child comes in, there is a container of XYZ, they build something with a group. Walk me through from A to Z with the presentation.
Yeah, sure. So fundamentally, every program that we offer, whether it's a class, a camp, a birthday party, a scouting event, a field trip, whatever it is, every class has three components, three key components. Number one, super fun. It's got to be fun. The kids have to be having a great time. Number two, it has to be academic. So there has to be a STEM learning component in it. And number three, it has to be social. So they need to be working in teams and doing things. So how the classes work are, the kids come in, they're immediately paired up. So we generally don't allow a child to work alone, because the child that wants to work alone is probably the child that most needs to be paired up with somebody. And so they're automatically paired up. There's no option. You're partnered. There's teamwork. And so they come in. There's generally a couple minutes of just sort of playing with bricks, or if they're playing with connects, whatever, there's sort of a free exploration time, just until all of the children arrive. And then the teacher will come in, and we hire qualified teachers to teach our programs. They'll come in, and they'll start to talk to the children about whatever the topic is of the day. So one of my favorite programs is amusement park adventures, so I'll use that as an example. And so maybe what they're doing that day is they're building a Ferris wheel. That's one of the fun activities that we do there. So the teacher will come in, and she'll get the kids super excited. Who likes to go to the amusement parks, or whatever the local amusement park is in your area? And in Pittsburgh, it's called Kennywood, or they might talk about Disney or something like that, and gets the kids like super excited. What's your favorite ride? And then the teacher will quickly kind of move into, okay, well, has anybody ever been on a Ferris wheel? And they'll start to talk about it. And then the teacher will move, as the kids are having fun and totally engaged and social, then we'll start to sneak in some of the education, and we'll start to talk about gears. And we're going to build a Ferris wheel, and it's going to have gears, and they'll hold up the gears, and they'll show them spinning and talk about what they're doing. And we're going to say, we're going to make a Ferris wheel, and then you're going to get to make one that goes so slow that a little baby could ride it. And you're also going to make one that's so fast that nobody could have, they'd fly right off of it. And so they build a Ferris wheel that's kind of in the middle, that's kind of like a normal speed. And then we, through the education and what the teacher says to them in the beginning, if they're paying attention, she explains to them how, if they change the gear size, it's going to make it go, it's called gearing up and gearing down, it's going to make it go faster and slower. So, and then the children build the Ferris wheel, which is super fun. they build it with their partner and they're working side by side. And then once they're done, then they have the challenge phase. So now they're like, okay, well, can you make it go super slow so a baby could ride it? And if they were paying attention to the lesson in the front, which they were engaged because they were having so much fun, they'll know how which gears they need to put in and how to change it up. And then we'll usually go around the room and the kids can talk about it. They may present their Ferris wheel. If time allows, they're able to make their Ferris wheel their own. And so they might put people on it and do different things. And then they get up and present in front of the class. So they get those presentation skills. And then the class concludes. So through all of that fun, we kind of snuck in the education, and they had to be completely social with teamwork and problem solving and critical thinking and presentation skills that are life skills that'll last them forever. And so that's a typical class that you'll see.
That's incredible. It sounds like the learning happens almost vicariously while they're having fun, like you said. They just slip in the learning. And if you're learning while you're doing, that's a reinforcement in itself.
Yeah, that's it. It's passive learning, and we believe at Snapology that children are fundamentally meant to learn through play, and so that's what we're really trying to deliver. There is a play-based experience with a
Wow.
lot of academics behind it, and then we also believe very strongly in those social skill components, and it's a key part of life. It's a key part of child development, and the more socializing you can get, the better off the child will be in the future.
Yeah. I feel very connected to Snapology because just like this show, it's fun, it's what is it? It's fun, it's social, and it's academic.
Yeah, that's it. That's the three pillars. Yeah.
Right, right. So let's go back to this shy child who now gets to, like not has to, but gets to stand in front of their peers presenting what they've just built and what they've just learned vicariously. So just walk me through a minute of that process.
Yeah, every child is a little bit different, and the first time they come to a class, they may be more shy, and so the teachers are very skilled. I mean, we're very blessed to have great teachers, and we've got a nice training program for them. And so the teacher will kind of coach each child and walk them through it. The beauty of a lot of our activities is they are team environment. So even though the children are standing up, sometimes they're standing up with another child beside them, so that gives them a little bit of comfort. Sometimes if a child is too shy to go to the front of the class the very first week, they'll let them present at their table. And so we sort of, some kids will walk right up to the front like they own the place. I mean, but if it's a child that's a little bit more timid and shy, then they might stand up at their desk and present it, or they might let their partner talk more than them. And slowly through most of our programs, I mean, some of our programs are semester long or year long, but some of our programs, 4 or 6 weeks, or maybe it's a camp that's 5 days. As the child progresses through that program, the teacher is going to continue to coach them. So by the end of the program or by the end of that skill set, the child is standing up in front. So each week they'll continue to push them a little bit more to get them comfortable with doing it. So we're not looking to scare the child or embarrass them or not want them to come back. But our teachers are very skilled at sort of taking those baby steps with maybe a more shy child to get them there. And it's fun, right? So not a whole lot of kids are shy. Even if they're shy at home, they want to show their Ferris wheel that they put, these five guys on, or they, built something beside it or whatever. So they're excited to share it with their peers. But there are some kids that are a little bit timid, and we just coach them through it.
Wow. That's amazing. It sounds like such a great program.
It's
So,
fun.
yeah, it's fun. It sounds fun. I want to come in and I want to construct something. I want to
We have parent and child events, so yeah. So I think the parents enjoy it sometimes every bit as much, if not more, than the kids.
absolutely. So you have this child that's shy, and now they're standing with a friend, which could be very comforting. Let's talk about how this applies to real life, a real life situation. I understand that Snapology has an amazing Bystanders Against Bullying program that you run. I'm very curious to know how a shy child or any child might be empowered But first, I'm also curious to know how you chose to create a bullying program. There are a lot of different routes you could have taken, but this was something that struck very near and dear, so much so that Snapology actually incorporated this program that you go out to schools to deliver. So tell us a little bit about how that came to be, and then we'll talk about the program.
Yeah, for sure. So we work with school districts a lot at Snapology, and so we do a lot of after school programs and PTA programs and things like that. And we started to get asked by schools to come and do different types of assemblies. And so we do a variety of assemblies around STEM concepts or STEAM concepts. But what we realized is that with my own children, as they progressed through, and the bullying program has been around for probably 5 or 6 years now. So we didn't start with it. It's a program that we added about 5 or 6 years ago. And one of the reasons we added it is because my school district does a phenomenal job with anti-bullying. I mean, they really do a nice job. What I noticed is my kids started in those anti-bullying programs in kindergarten. They start really early with them. And as they go through the years, every year is kind of more of the same. And so my kids were getting the messaging, and of course, they were doing good with it. But it just sort of it struck me that if you're doing the same thing year after year, the kids get a little stale with it, and it becomes sort of I don't want to say a joke, but it becomes sort of like they don't take it as seriously, maybe, and so we realized that there was becoming a little bit of a gap. And once children get to be in like fourth, fifth, sixth grade, and they start to really develop skills in empathy and really understanding the bullying dynamic and understanding that there's a real opportunity to take that just, instead of saying just go tell a teacher or some of those standard messaging that they get, there's really a chance to really hit it from a deeper level and get the children to understand what's going on with the bully, what's going on with the victim, and what's going on with a bystander. And so that's where we approached it. I mean, of course, my children experienced bullying. I'm not going to lie, probably from both ends. You know how that is. The bully often bullies. And so I wanted to create a program where we could really just approach it differently. And so there could be a different perspective there than what the schools were already doing. And so we felt we could add value. And one of the key members of my leadership team, her name is Kelly. She's phenomenal. She has a behavioral health background. And so it was really easy for us to create the program because she understood it from a mental health perspective. And so we were able to create a very effective program to do that.
That's incredible. And, from just let's to revisit that one point about, um, you know, bullying, right? There's the bully, there's the victim, and there's the bystander. And what I find so fascinating about your program is that it doesn't necessarily focus on the victim, does it?
It doesn't. And that's the interesting thing is in 70% of bullying situations, there's a bystander there. There's somebody standing there watching it. And although it's not 100% of the situations, 70% is a pretty big number. And it's actually the bystander. It's if the bystander knows what to do, if you give the bystanders the tools to know what to do in that situation, they can stop that bullying situation faster than anybody else.
Wow.
And so that's why we approached it from that perspective, because it's once you have the tools, which are pretty, I won't say easy, but they're at least easy to talk about and easy to explain. Once you arm somebody with the language or what to do in those situations, they can have such an immediate impact and just stop that bullying situation cold. And so we thought, that's a really great way to approach it because nobody was approaching it that way. There's always talking about why the bully bullies and have empathy for the bully and have empathy for the victim, and the victim should go and tell a teacher, and the victim should do this and the victim should do that. But it's hard for the victim. I mean, it is. And I'm not saying the victim shouldn't do those things, but and that's a great perspective to have. But if we can arm somebody with a different perspective of not only can the victim do something about that, but the bystander can do something every bit as impactful or even more impactful or stop it quicker, then how powerful could that be in a school environment, to help combat, this issue of bullying?
Absolutely. We see in all of the movies on television where there are two or three kids standing around while one child is being picked on by a bigger group. And granted, there's the theory of, well, let's not all get our little bottoms kicked. But at the same time, there is empowerment in more than one person standing up and saying something, right?
There absolutely is. Yeah, there absolutely is. And sometimes it's just the smallest thing of a bystander saying, "Hey, what is happening here? What's going on here?" Or, "Hey, dude, that's not cool. Like, what are you doing?" Or, "Can I help you guys?" Even just interjecting anything into it can completely stop the interaction in its tracks. And so that's what we try to do in our program is we start slow and we talk about bullying and we talk about the bullying dynamic where there's the three parties that we just talked about, the
Yes.
bully, the victim, and the bystander. And we talk about all of that and we sort of build up to it. What we're really trying to do is get each child in our program to commit to do something the next time they're a bystander, the next time they see something going on. And so through the building, and that's kind of a passive thing too, right? So a child doesn't have to call out that they've been bullied, and they don't have to call out that they bullied somebody. They build through using Lego. We encourage them to build a scenario, to build a bullying dynamic. And nobody knows whether that was them, whether that was somebody else, whether that was something they just made up in their head. And they're able to talk through the bricks and really sort of establish, a scenario that then all of the students talk about. Okay, well, in Laura's scenario, what could have the bystander done in that scenario? And then we can give them real tools to be able to do it. And at the end, we try to get the children to say, you know what, the next time that happens, I think I could pull out my phone and start recording, if they're older kids, or I could, say, hey man, that's not cool. Or I could maybe come and try to help the victim and say, hey, can I help you? Or whatever it is, we try to get them to really think of some real life scenarios through what they've built that they could do. And so it's a safe way to get children to talk about it where they don't have to admit that they've been bullied or admit that they have bullied somebody. It's a really kind of cool way
It really is.
to approach the situation so that it really truly is a safe environment for everybody to feel comfortable to share.
It's incredible because on the one hand, you're empowering children, like we said at the beginning of the show, who are less athletic. On the other hand, right, that's number one. Number two is that you're empowering bystanders, bystanders to speak up. And number three is you're delivering presentation skills to children. So that's a perfect trifecta for being able to really stand up in any type of situation, whether it's speaking in front of a class, whether it's standing up against a bully, whether it is showing support, empathy, and understanding for other students.
Yeah.
Really incredible program. I just want to flash this Snapology.com program's anti-bullying so that our listeners know where to go to hear about the Bystanders Against Bullying program at Snapology. Really, really exciting stuff.
Yeah, we love that. We love the program, and it's funny because we've toyed around with the idea of we wouldn't necessarily even need to call it anti-bullying because sometimes anti-bullying is kind of gets a negative sort of connotation, and kids are like, "Oh, bullying again." We hear about this every year. We hear about this all the time. It really also is about leadership, right? Because your bystander is you're encouraging them to be a leader, to take control of that situation and help out somebody or change the dynamic. And so we're actually sort of morphing some of the programs into also it's really the same program but using some different language to really talk about how can you be a leader in different situations, bullying or not, but bullying is definitely a situation where that bystander is, it's leadership skills that really you're asking that bystander to step up and partake in.
You know what it really reminds me of, Laura? I was a Toastmaster for a number of years. And well, once a Toastmaster, always a Toastmaster. And I think that most people think of Toastmasters as a public speaking group.
Yeah.
However, it's really about listening, develop listening skills, developing leadership skills, and then also about public speaking. And much the same way, I think that's the same with Snapology. I think that you offer so many character building skills that we just don't realize because the children are having fun. But
That's
there's the
yeah.
self-esteem, there's the growth, right?
That's exactly it, and that's what we're really trying to do. I mean, a lot there's a lot of STEM programs out there, STEAM programs. There's a lot out there, and I think what we're really trying to do differently at Snapology is really look at the whole child and create life skills, really. So we want, of course, we want them to grow up and become STEM professionals. We want them to be scientists and engineers, and we want to build confidence on that academic side. But to be honest with you, the academic side is the easy part. The hard part for a lot of kids, and the hard part, honestly, when you're a young adult and you come out of college, the hard part are some of those social skills and being able to put them in place and work with other people and deal with difficult people. I mean, that's a huge,
Oof.
challenge. And how do you effectively deal with somebody who's a bully or who's difficult?
Yeah.
And so what we're trying to do is equip kids at such a young age with those social skills. And that's why every bit as important as having fun and doing academics are those social aspects in our Snapology programs, because the social skills are truly what are going to really make kids successful in life, in their personal life and their professional life.
Yes. Yes. I just thought of something, which is that the American Society for the Positive Care of Children is all about helping to break the negative cycles, breaking the cycle of abuse, breaking the cycle of bullying. And I think that's what Snapology is doing such a great job at, breaking the cycle of bullying, teaching kids from a young age how they don't have to have bullying, or not that they don't have to have bullying in their lives, but that how to handle bullying in a very proactive, mature way, how to use their words to stand up and speak on behalf of the victim, or how to dis how to dis disarm, I don't mean the
Yeah,
way,
exactly.
but
Yeah.
how to literally verbally disarm another person who is verbally or physically attacking someone. And in this day and age where we have so much crazy going on, from
Yeah.
social media to crazy things in the news, and just chaos in certain areas, it's putting so much structure back into the way we think about each other, the way we empathize with each other, the way we take a stand for each other, the way we treat others as ourselves. I really applaud the work,
Oh,
really.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean that's what it's all about. And I think for kids, I think kids want to do the right things. I think adults want to do the right things. But I even think about myself when I'm in some situations where it's an uncomfortable situation, or maybe somebody's being treated maybe poorly, and I'm standing there watching it, and I'm trying to think to myself, what do I say in this situation that's not going to make it worse, for the person it's happening to or for me? And I think, 90% of that battle is being equipped with the words to say or how to say it. And so that's really what we're trying to do with kids, is give them some of those words, give them the courage, give them some of those words to say, where they can say it in an effective way that doesn't escalate the situation, that diffuses the situation. So yeah.
Yes. Diffuse the situation, how to diffuse the situation. Perfect. Well, I applaud you and your team. Congratulations on your newly being acquired at Snapology, if I can kind of.
Yeah, no, we're really excited. We were just acquired by Unleash Brands a couple months ago, and it's been phenomenal. They're a great organization. They're going to help us develop new programs, and help us grow. And so we're really excited about it.
That is so awesome. And any way that American Society for the Positive Care of Children can be part of any of your programs or support you and your programming in any way, just let us know. We appreciate having you here today. I'm going to flash on the screen one more time. If you're looking for more about Snapology's anti-bullying programs, then you can find them right here at www.snapology.com/program/anti-bullying. Laura, I can't thank you enough for being on the show today.
Hey, thank you. Happy to do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Again, kudos to you and your team. Let me just do a quick outro. Hang on one second. You can wait for me. So for all of our listeners, we hope you enjoyed what you heard today, and go look up your nearest Snapology organization, Snapology location. Go check it out. Bring your kids there. It sounds like they're doing some amazing things. And to find more positive parenting resources like these, please remember to visit us at www.americanspcc.org. And if you know of anyone doing amazing things in your community, like the way Laura is doing amazing things within her community, then please feel free to reach out to us, because we want to know about it and we'd love to interview them. So again, I'm Tracy Kawa for American SPCC, and a brighter future starts here.